Hello, I'm Regina Rowland and I'm introducing you to SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. The main goal for this SDG is to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. What might we think about when we think of solutions for this SDG? We think about a material footprint. That refers to the total amount of raw materials extracted to meet final consumption demands as one indication of the pressures placed on the environment to support economic growth and to satisfy the material needs of people. We could also look at the issue of food. So land degradation, for instance, or declining soil fertility, unsustainable water use, overfishing, and marine environment degradation are all lessening the ability of the natural resource base to supply food. That's something to pay attention to. And e-waste is also an issue here. So that means any waste of household or business item with circuitry or electrical components with power or supply, battery supply. So when we think about sustainable consumption and production, we need to start redesigning our world. So basically we start then with the design of sustainability and sustainable products and services. And then we follow it all the way through the value chain. So that means then cleaner production and resource efficiency, sustainable transportation, any kind of certification or eco-labeling, sustainable procurement, marketing, your own lifestyle, and waste management at the end of one life cycle, and then to return it back into the cycle. This SDG has 8 targets and 3 measures. So please go and read those in detail and see whether that ponders up any ideas for you. And in the report 2020, you can find information about the status quo of the issue globally. And then this wonderful site where we can compare European countries and different aspects of this SDG is a wonderful resource to learn more about your own country and your neighboring countries and where you are in this process. The issue in Austria could be kind of finalized to a negative score for us for total domestic material consumption. So we use too much, period. In the other aspects, we're actually doing pretty well. The main issues then to solve in Austria have to do with extending product use and time of products' life cycles through product design and consumer behavior. Also, to practice circular economy and efficient usage of raw material that needs to be increased throughout the entire supply chain and value chain. Product materials that disturb natural cycles should be substituted. So what might organizations do? When we think about the potential, when we design potential contributions organizations might do, we first put in our memory what the real purpose is of that organization, so we can design for that, what who the stakeholders are, what the impact is of that particular SDG on the organization, what challenges or costs emerge for the organization due to this impact, and then also what opportunities and benefits arise at the same time. And then we design actions that would be done internally, where the organization can control how it's going to happen and who is doing what, and also actions externally, so outward actions where they might be able to impact the environment but can't really control all the parts. So let's look at educational institutions. Their task for this SDG lies in role modeling, researching, and teaching about the potential of responsible consumption and production and how to achieve it, as well as raising awareness about its need and the process of transforming the culture of production and consumption overall. What are some examples, what they could be thinking about in their design? So an inward action could be to include recycling and waste reduction policies for the internal infrastructures on campus, or to reduce food and electronic waste. An outward action could be to collaborate with businesses on research projects to co-design and co-develop sustainable products and services. Municipalities. So what could towns, villages, and cities do? They could encourage their citizens to adopt responsible consumption patterns and nudge them towards using circular and regenerative offerings by making them also more accessible. An inward action could be to train public staff on the topics of responsible procurement and consumption, and to collaborate with different stakeholders towards sustainable production policies and funding. Organizations of all kinds, so businesses and not-for-profit organizations, they could adopt responsible and sustainable procurement, production, transportation, and disposal patterns, as well as to accelerate their initiatives for achieving a high degree of circularity within their organization on all levels. An inward action could be to identify hotspots within the value chain where interventions have the greatest potential to improve the environmental and social impact of the system. And an example for an outward action could be to reduce manufacturing impact by collaborating with suppliers towards more sustainable concepts of reuse and recycling. Then the slide deck takes you to an activity where you can go through the same kind of reflective thinking and designing for an organization of your choice, and then also to double check your design for circularity and for systemic sustainability. Eventually you get to the page of reflections, and there's also more resources for you to check out. And we invite you to join us on the SDG journey, where you are asked to observe your own environment under the SDG 12 umbrella for a whole week, and to find evidence for responsible consumption and production or violations thereof. This was it for SDG 12. I'll see you in another SDG. Thank you.